What would you say fly
Sturdier.
free blizzard-wise? Like a griffin?
Yeah, you're right.
Like Malthael?
How about a Mutalisk?
Those things aren't free.
They are now. Remember? She freed them.
She did free them, but they're consumed by their hunger.
Oh, so am I. All we've talked about since we got here is food. When are we eating?
Okay, well, let's do this then. And then we can eat.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay, okay, here we go. Hey guys, Gilly Weed here with an interview with a friend. This friend is Ryan Tower, and he is the lead administrator?
Sure, we'll go with that.
The lead administrator of the websites Storm Legacy and SC Legacy. Thank you for joining me, Ryan.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Awesome, I'm glad.
Oh, yeah.
So first of all, I want to ask you, for people who maybe haven't seen your sites, can you tell me a little bit about like what your sites are for, what type of people would like them, etc.?
Sure. So the first one that I run is StarCraft Legacy. So that's been around since 1998. We are the oldest surviving StarCraft fan site. And at first we kind of did a lot of everything, and now we've kind of evolved into the nexus for the lore, basically. So all the StarCraft lore, we do articles about that, we do reviews of the books, we do a lot of interviews regarding the lore, speculation, things like that. So that's the first thing. And then recently we've started up a Heroes of the Storm site called Storm Legacy. So the idea behind that one is still kind of in its infancy, but we're trying to create community, we're trying to expand. We'll probably do some esports coverage, probably do some build order coverage, probably just try to kind of go with the scene as it evolves into whatever it's going to be, whether that's a casual outlet or a very hardcore outlet. We don't know yet, but we're pretty excited to be a part of this game too.
Awesome. You mentioned books, and now I'm interested. How often do books come out about it?
Every couple years. So they tend to coincide with releases of the games. So before Wings of Liberty came out, Christy Golden wrote the Dark Templar trilogy, which kind of set the stage for where StarCraft II was going. And those are probably some of the best written books in the universe. So that was a pretty cool arc to see that.
Wait, in this universe or in the StarCraft universe?
StarCraft universe. Good call. Yeah. No, there were older ones that are probably not quite as good, although entertaining, and they do flesh out the universe, which is helpful because not everything can be shown in the game, especially as the storytelling in the games has evolved.
Awesome. I'm going to check that out now. The Dark Templar trilogy?
Yeah, those are really good. I Mengst is another good one, written about Arcturus Mengst and his progeny. So yeah. So I mean, there's some pretty good ones out there.
Awesome. Well, how long have you been involved in the scene? And you've talked about your sites and how long they've been involved. But how did you get involved in making these sites?
Wow. So I started doing all of this when I was 11. About a month before the games came out, I was reading some articles about them, and then I ended up getting it for my birthday. And I played a ton of it on a 56K modem. I remember my very first multiplayer game, I lost terribly. And I was Terran, and I asked the opponent whether or not I could mine with a factory, because I didn't have a command center. He's like, I don't think so. I mean, it was also new, it was different, and I got involved in kind of like the casual clan war type thing. I ran a clan for a lot of years, and then I kind of evolved into joining these sites, and eventually I just kind of took them all over. So then I really kind of hit the stride in high school and college, and it's been a part of my life for a very long time now.
Yeah, no plans of quitting?
Nope, not yet.
Yay, stick with it.
Too much passion, right? I mean, when it's been a part of something for that long, right, it's hard to let it go.
Oh, I understand. What part of the lore, what part of the story maybe really drew you in and made you I want to be more involved with this?
Yeah, that's a really good question. The short answer is probably Tassadar. I mean, he's just awesome, right? Go Tassie. But I think that's really hard to answer because, when you're 11, everything's cool. Maybe it was the sci-fi thing. Maybe it was the writing. My 11-year-old self thought it was awesome. Some of the lines are great. I don't know. It was the first. I had played Diablo before that, and I played a lot of, older games, Duke Nukem and Wolfenstein and Doom and all of that kind of growing up. It was probably just a well-built RTS, and I don't know. The story grabbed me. I'm not sure what about it, but I don't know. I have no idea how to answer.
Tassie.
Tassie. That's the best answer I can give. So.
He is pretty amazing.
He is. I mean, he sacrificed everything he knew. He did what was right, what he thought was right, stood up against those who were corrupt, and led some young ones on the right path. So he's kind of I don't know, I really loved Yoda growing up. I think he's the Yoda of the StarCraft universe. Maybe that's a little more Zeratul now, but it used to be Tassadar. He saw the light and kind of guided that. So.
And Tassadar is your favorite Heroes character as well. Is he your favorite because he's Tassadar or because he's also really fun to play?
The short answer there is I started playing him because he was Tassadar. Luckily for me, he's not a support, he's a DPS character, which is what I love to play. So that really worked out. So you can kind of help your team, because I really liked that the game is team-based, but you can also do terrible, terrible damage. So.
It's true. Yeah. Those storms.
Yeah. That and the Archon were by far the best additions to his kit. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. As far as your sites, what have been some of your highlights for the year?
So, we survived another year. That's always big, right? I mean, after doing it for this long, that's an important part of what we do. But, we stay connected to the community. There are not that many places to talk about the lore anymore. So we still have a vibrant community. We still do the book reviews, some of the licensed other StarCraft stuff that comes out. And we've had a lot of fun speculating about Legacy of the Void and what that could entail and where the StarCraft saga ultimately ends up.
I want to ask you about Legacy of the Void in a second, but first, I know you've got some things planned for next year, and I know some of them are probably secret, but what can you tell us about what you got planned for next year?
Well, some of them will be lore-based, go figure. So pretty excited about those. It's something we've been working on for quite a long time, and the pieces are starting to come together. So that's pretty exciting. We also have recently found out that Blizzard, in conjunction with Insight, is making a lore book, kind of like they did the Book of Cain. They're going to do that for StarCraft, so we're pretty excited to see what comes out of there and kind of flesh that out. And we'll have to see what else happens. I mean, there's probably more going to happen around the Heroes of the Storm stuff, the Storm Legacy stuff, but those are all in production too.
Awesome, well I can't wait to see it. Legacy of the Void now, it's on the table as being something that's announced, and because this is an interview that's taking place before BlizzCon has started, we're actually still not sure yet. But what is one thing or things that you would like to see in Legacy of the Void?
I would like to see the player character be Artanis, for one thing, not Zeratul. I think Zeratul is a precision instrument. In Artanis, you can kind of see the bigger galactic war that was happening in the first StarCraft, which is, where the passion comes from. So that would be great to see, kind of see him go around and uniting the tribes, and hopefully have it not turn out to be like the end of Warcraft 3. That would be ideal. Hopefully there's something, up their sleeves where it'll be kind of different from the other two installments while being innovative.
A different storyline, basically.
Yeah, I mean, Wings of Liberty was about finding Kerrigan, right, and taking her down with the artifact. And then Heart of the Swarm was about, the revenge on Mengsk, which admittedly was a long time coming. But now, with this last expansion for StarCraft 2, at least the last announced one, right, they have to wrap up the whole hybrid Amon storyline, and it'll be interesting to see how they pull all those threads they kind of started weaving in the first two and really make it into a cohesive whole. Because all along they've been telling us, this is a 3-part saga. You can't judge any of it really by itself because it doesn't work like that, right? I mean, there is a story there, but we really planned this as a trilogy. So I think seeing the conclusion and where it ends up and how that's impacted by what happened in StarCraft, or how it changes what happened in StarCraft will be interesting to watch.
Now I'm all pumped. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I think that StarCraft is really known for the esports aspect, but I think everyone forgets that there's this huge base of players who has the nostalgia from the late 90s, and who doesn't have the time or the dedication or what have it to be good at the multiplayer. So there's a decent player base who comes for the story to play through the missions. I mean Blizzard does a great job of innovating with the mission objectives and kind of making that immersive, especially for an RTS, right? It's probably revolutionary for their genres, and you know, they really hone that. So I think it's just going to be really cool to see what they can do.
And the cinematics, of course.
Oh yeah, I mean the cinematic, I'm really pumped for that. Hopefully you'll see it tomorrow. And you know, I'm a Protoss guy, so I want to see what they have in store. The Heart of the Swarm one was awesome, and I want to see where that goes, and hopefully, you know, the renewed interest in Legacy of the Void will bring more people back to the story. I mean, even if people, you know, played Winds of Liberty or Heart of the Swarm, they didn't do the whole story. So I think a lot of people want to see, you know, the conclusion to the game and where it all ends up, and there is a wide, rich universe there between the books, between the games, you know, between the short stories, and Blizzard's starting to embrace, you know, the storytelling a little bit more again. So we're really interested to see where that ends up.
Awesome. Well, I am too. I get super excited about StarCraft anytime I talk about the lore with you.
I know. Hopefully we'll get you playing the first StarCraft all the way through soon.
Yes, I really want to do that. I'm ready to see the full story, full spectrum. But then I'm going to, of course, have to play through all the rest of it again, too.
Well, what better reason than Legacy of the Void coming up soon?
You make a good point there.
Perfect timing.
Exactly. Well, before we go, do you want to maybe give shout-outs or tell them where they could follow you on Twitter or your site, websites as well?
Sure. So thanks everyone for supporting us for all these years. I mean, it's been a long journey. A lot of people, even if they're not as heavy into the lore, probably remember StarCraft Legacy for something. So that's really great to have that be a part of the community's fabric. And you can always check us out at sclegacy.com and at StarCraft Legacy on Twitter. SC Legacy on YouTube, where we have lots of videos. We have old casts, we have all the old cinematics, the new cinematics. You know, we made some fan-made cinematics. I don't know if you saw those. Those were pretty cool. First Contact and Final Metamorphosis. And then Storm Legacy is stormlegacy.com and at Storm Legacy Team on Twitter. And for now, we're using the StarCraft Legacy YouTube. Then you can find me at LordOfAscension. You know, I like to have my hand in all kinds of different pots, so we'll always see what's stirring there.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to do this interview with me.
Thank you for interviewing me. It's a pleasure. So it's been great fun knowing you.
Ditto. Thank you guys, and I'll be back soon with more interviews. Bye.
My enemies are intelligent, bold, advanced, and powerful, but I am evolved. My mind has been augmented beyond any mere human capacity. I have outwitted the sharpest minds of this universe.